All right, joining me on the line, his name is Scott Garriola. He is a retired FBI special agent, correct?
Yes, thanks for having me on.
And you're a part of this whole Chippendales thing going on Discovery Plus. Your side job was being a Chippendales dancer, correct?
Yeah, I was wondering where you were going with that. Yeah, I'm not part of the Chippendales. Let's make that abundantly clear. I'm a retired FBI agent.
I don't
investigate.
I don't know. I was going to say, I thought I heard you had some moves on you, but...
I've been told back in the day. It was a long time ago, about 30 years ago.
Well, Scott, you're a part of this. It's a true crime series on Discovery Plus called The Curse of the Chippendales, correct?
Right. Correct. You got it.
And what's the basis of this story? I mean, I'm kind of like everybody else. I know the Chippendales were male dancers. Like, until I kind of read some of the notes, I didn't know it was an actual, like, place. I thought it was just dancers that traveled around for whatever reason. But what's the basis of this?
So that's what it became. It became this touring group, but it started out as a nightclub in like, working class area of Los Angeles. And there was an Indian immigrant who had this, it was a great rags to riches story, comes to the L.A., owns a couple of gas stations, converts them to a nightclub named Destiny 2. Then, gets an idea. One of the stories is, if you remember Paul Snyder and Dorothy Stratton, the Playboy Playmate of the Year, who was killed in a murder-suicide, he supposedly gave the Chippendales guy the idea to start the male strippers. And that's what happened. So Chippendales is born. But at that point, it's just this kind of bawdy, lascivious, guys taking their clothes off down to the G-strings, women holding up dollar bills, to kiss them on the lips, shove the dollar in their G-string. So that's what it was, right? And then Banerjee, the owner of Chippendales, meets this man named Nick DeNoia. Nick DeNoia was a Broadway guy. He was a TV Emmy Award-winning producer of child shows, and he's creative. He's an artist. And he comes out and he transforms Chippendales into this show, kind of like a Broadway show with choreography and storytelling and music and, good-looking guys.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it transforms and becomes this cultural phenomenon that takes off. So they open up a club in New York. They're going to open up, 5 other clubs eventually, and that doesn't go through. And then they have this big falling out, mainly because Banerjee assigns the rights to tour Chippendales to DeNoia. And he doesn't realize at the point that those touring rights become the most lucrative thing, and he made that huge mistake. Clubs come and go, right? There's problems with clubs. There's fire department code violations, the police department, noise abatement, all that kind of stuff. There's accidents, slip and falls. He wasn't letting African Americans in, and there was lawsuits. So he publishes a calendar. Chippendales merchandise was huge, right? After the show, the women would buy up this merchandise off the shelves. He publishes the 1987 calendar with 31 days for every month. That's $1 million loss right there. So he declares bankruptcy, and he tries to tour Chippendales on his own, which is a violation of the agreement. DeNoia shuts him down. Said, "You can't do that. I got the right to tour the club, the dancers, not you." So DeNoia sues him and gets a restraining order, an injunction. This drives Banerjee crazy. So,
I was going to say, what happens next? Because there's murder, there's arson, there's kind of everything in this, right?
Banerjee tells our informer, hey, this guy DeNoia is killing me. I need you to take him out. And eventually that's what happens. Our informer winds up getting somebody else. They fly to New York and they kill DeNoia.
Oh, wow.
The case goes unsolved for 4 years until we get a guy walking into our Las Vegas office and starts to unravel a little bit of the story about this separate murder for hire conspiracy of killing a rival dance group to Chippendales that happens to be touring over in England. He was hired to go kill some of the dancers. And so it's a crazy, wild story. It's probably one of the wildest murder for hire cases in the history of the FBI, and this all unpacks over 4 nights. They could have done 4 more nights, just our investigation. That took us 5 years.
Now, how did you get involved in this? What was your first kind of dive into this?
I was, a young buck from New Orleans, FBI, gets transferred to L.A., gets assigned to this organized crime squad. They put me with this older, seasoned veteran who had just, was at the very tip of the iceberg of the investigation. So I started working with him, and that's how I get involved. And we had my partner Andrew Stefani. He's passed away. A great guy, mentor to me, father figure, teaching me the ropes. And the two of us worked this case. We eventually get the informer Ray Colon, get him out of jail to cooperate on to try and get this guy Banerjee on tape admitting his role in this 12-year conspiracy.
So when they first came to you guys with this, was there, I mean, with cops, I mean, there had to be some chuckles that it was Chippendales, right?
Yeah, of course. So you can imagine the ribbing and we took, and hey, where's your collar and cuffs? I got my cuffs, but I'm not wearing a collar. Not wearing the collar today. So, yeah.
I
all the jokes.
I come from a law enforcement family, so I have to imagine what it could have been like. Scott Garriola, retired FBI special agent. He's a part of this true crime original docuseries on Discovery Plus called The Curse of the Chippendales. So was it hard to dive back into this? Was it weird? Was it because this was wrapped up a long time ago, right?
Right. Yeah, 30 years ago this case started.
Wow.
And we wrapped up a few years later. But it's one of these cases. It's just it's been fascinating throughout my career. It always seemed somebody wanted to talk about it. And then just like recently, since I retired, there was a podcast done, and then Discovery Plus contacted me, and then another show. It's kind of like taken off. I don't know why. Maybe there's like a need for content out there for true crime. There's this whole rebirth of true crime series, and this craze and cyber sleuths out there. So I guess people love this stuff and they eat it up. Personally, I don't like watching true crime on TV. I lived it, and I kind of like I want to watch sports and maybe reality television. But my wife, laying next to me, she wants to turn on Discovery and watch the latest murder case. It's just the way it is.
So what do you think it is about true crime that people dive into so much?
I mean, I think everybody loves a good mystery, a good story. In this case, it's just real good techniques and investigation that we wind up conducting on this thing. It really wasn't a mystery once Cologne came in and taught us. But I think that's what it is. I think everybody likes a mystery. My wife will sit there and say, "Oh, I think it was the boyfriend. Oh no, I think it was the uncle." She'll sit there and she'll try and solve it. And I think that's what it kind of draws people in. And that's what I hope this show does. I mean, I've watched a little bit of it, and from what I've seen, it's fantastic.
Scott Garriola he's retired FBI special agent, part of the Curse of the Chippendales. This is going to be kind of and I don't know if anybody else has asked you today, because I know you've done the tour, but are there any other well-known cases that you've been a part of that are kind of like this? Or because how long were you in the FBI? And I understand that there's probably some stuff you can't talk about. How long were you in the FBI?
So I was in the FBI over 31 years. We have a mandatory retirement at 57, which is kind of crazy when I tell people that. But yeah, so this was early in my career, and then in the mid 90s, 96, 97, I transferred over to the fugitive squad, and that's what I did for like the last 23 years. I did nothing but chase fugitives. And one of the most high-profile ones I caught in Los Angeles was Whitey Bulger, who was a huge capture for the FBI. As a Boston Mafia member, and subject of many movies. The Departed with Jack Nicholson, Black Mass with Johnny Depp. But I happen to be in the right place. I say the right place at the wrong time, because I was on vacation when I got the call from Boston FBI. They were the ones that did the lion's share of the work and figured out through a great publicity campaign where he was, and it was just up to me to try and get the handcuffs on him that day. And kind of some of the techniques I use in this, thinking out of the box, getting creative, and lured him down to his garage and able to handcuff him without a struggle, without a fight, without a shootout. And we went back into this place of 33 weapons inside his apartment. Oof. With a lot of them within arm's reach. So, it turned out good for the good guys that day.
I can imagine. Scott Garriola joining me on the line. Scott, as you do, stuff like Curse of the Chippendales, do you have other stuff like this on the horizon? Or, that case you just talked about, Whitey Bulger, that'd make a great one too. So
yeah, I don't have anything like this, that I'm working on. What I do is I do a little consulting on some television shows that are on the air. There's FBI and FBI Most Wanted that are on CBS. They're Dick Wolf shows.
Yeah.
And so I do the FBI technical advising on that. When they have the writers have a question about the real way to do things, I'll consult with them. I'll read the scripts, give my notes, and give my advice. That keeps me busy enough. After 31 years, I'm trying to decompress a little bit, and I've got kids, and I enjoy watching my kids play sports, and trying to keep my health up, trying to enjoy the remainder of my life.
I gotta ask, if you're doing all this technical stuff on these TV shows, what's the worst mistake you've ever seen with it involving law enforcement on a TV show?
You have to understand, because I didn't understand it until I got involved in it. You have to keep the drama going, right?
Yes.
You have to compress. You can't do a story on Chippendales in 43 minutes, hour show that they do, and try and do everything the way we did it, because you just have to compress everything. And you have to have your stars of the show. You want to see the stars, so they have to be the first one through the door. So that's always kind of like the joke. It's always like, you always have the SWAT guys that are heavily armored and geared up. They're last. But it's the two stars. But I understand how it is now, because now I'm in that world, and I want to see the celebrities. I want to see the stars going through the door first.
We always make the joke, my wife and I, whenever we watch the Chicago series, where it's it's like Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago. It's always like, in the third largest city in the world, it's the same ambulance and cops doing every single case across the town.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's the way it has to be. I think we like a little familiarity, right? We want to see the same things over and over again. It makes us feel comfortable.
Exactly. Scott Garriola, he is a retired FBI special agent, a part of Curse of the Chippendales, on Discovery Plus. We'll have all the details at the bottom of the page. Scott, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Adam. Have a good day.